Hi everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm showing you a very fun recipe for Halloween, but also just for any time of the year. It's caramel popcorn, and today I'm gonna make this recipe that's in West for dessert, but I'm gonna form it into little popcorn balls. It's really fun, it's pretty quick, and I do everything in one pot. My grandma had like a few things at her house that I only ever had at her house that I really liked, and anytime I see it, I think about my grandma. She had coffee nips, the hard candies that would like, if you had the filling, would like pull the filling out of your tooth. She had Viennetta ice cream, which I have not had since I was a kid at her apartment, and like I wish I could have it because I thought it was so delicious. I mean, I could have it, I could just go buy it. And then the third thing was poppycock, which it came in like a little box. And it was, I don't remember the nut. I knew it was like caramel popcorn and nuts. And I thought it was so incredibly delicious. And it's just like a taste memory that I have. And I've always loved caramel corn. I think it's like the most delicious thing. But whenever I've had it store-bought, I can't like resist buying it when I see it because I find it so addictive. But whenever I buy it, I'm like, it's too sweet. It doesn't really taste like caramel. So actually, I think the homemade version is better.
What's your take on Cracker Jack?
I like Cracker Jacks. So Cracker Jacks are peanuts and popcorn, but like very molassesy. This one I'm going straight caramel. I do like Cracker Jacks. I haven't had Cracker Jacks since I was a kid. I don't know, it's been a long time.
You ever been to a baseball game?
Yes, I've went to many baseball games growing up, thank you, Cal. As a Cardinals fan in St. Louis. It's like so much fun, I loved it. But I have not been to a baseball game in years.
Name one player on the Cardinals.
Now?
Yep.
No idea. No idea. My sister's going to be horrified. She's going to be like, you've embarrassed me and brought shame on our family. I'm going to pop some popcorn just in the same pot. If you want to use like don't use buttered, don't use any flavored popcorn, but if you want to just pop plain popcorn and do it in the microwave, that's fine. You need 10 cups of popped kernels. So I have some kernels here. I have some roasted peanuts, granulated sugar, some corn syrup, water, a stick of butter, flaky salt, then some baking soda, just regular kosher salt, and cream of tartar. Special equipment, I'm just going to use this is an 8-quart stock pot. You could use a large Dutch oven. You just want something wide, tall sides, because again, we're gonna pop the popcorn in here, make the caramel, toss everything, and then actually it's gonna go into the oven. So you want it to be oven safe. To me, the key to good caramel corn is it has to be very, very dry and crunchy. I don't want it to like stick in your teeth. So that means baking it. It's gonna like remove all the moisture. It's gonna darken the caramel. It's gonna be so delicious. This recipe is from What's for Dessert, and in that book, I actually pressed the whole mixture into a pan and cut like cubes, but I'm gonna form these into popcorn balls. If you don't wanna do that, you could just let it cool on a baking sheet and break it up and enjoy it as just like delicious caramel popcorn. This makes an amazing gift. If you wanna go to someone's house and like bring them like a little host gift, bring them some homemade caramel corn, I guarantee it's gonna get like devoured. You're hearing just like baby cries in the background?
Yeah, but it's cute.
Okay. I'm gonna start with high heat in my stock pot. There's two things I'm really bad at in the kitchen. Well, there's more than that, but two things that like pop out as like a persistent problem I have is popping popcorn and flipping pancakes. I'm getting better at pancakes. And I also have issues with popping popcorn. And I think the reason is it's like, I don't really moderate my heat enough, and so full disclosure, I did make this recipe last night to kind of test it, and I think finally I did it right where I didn't burn anything. And I think the key is starting at really, really high heat and then dialing it back once you start to hear popping. I have some neutral oil, which is high smoke point, and I have my kernels. Make sure you're starting with fresh kernels. If you have kernels that have been sitting in your kitchen for a really long time, the problem is that they don't get fluffy when they pop. They stay kind of dense, and it's just not going to make good caramel corn. I have a thin layer of oil in the bottom of the pot. I'm already going to dial this back. Okay, so I'm going to add maybe a half cup or so of kernels. Get them coated. Lid goes on. I'm still on high heat, but once I start to hear popping, I'm gonna dial it back down to more like medium. And then keep shaking the pot, and when you shake the pot, what happens is the popped popcorn, which is very light, goes to the top, and the kernels stay on the bottom, which is what you want. So it's starting to pop. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. And then I'm gonna also crack the lid to let some of the steam out. Because the drier the popcorn is, the crunchier it'll be, the less I have to bake it. I need 10 cups popped, and I'm just gonna measure it using some 2 quarts and a pint. So this was a 10 cup capacity.
Can you hold the lid like a foot higher?
Okay, all right, enough of that. Okay, I'm turning it off. It's like the same thing that's when it's in the microwave. It's like once you hear the pops start to get a couple seconds apart, that's when you should dial it back. So the risk of burning is highest. Okay. Ten cups. I have my 10 cups of popcorn, more or less. And my peanuts is 1 cup. You really use any nut you like, just one that would be delicious if you added caramel to it, which is pretty much any nut. I think particularly pecans would be really good. Just start with roasted salted. These are roasted unsalted, so I'm actually gonna add a little bit of flaky salt, which I have right here. You can control the level of saltiness that you want. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna wipe out this pot. If you left it in too long or had a little bit of burning or scorching, go ahead and wash it and scrub it out because you don't want any little bits left in your pot. But I somehow managed to avoid burning it. So I'm gonna just wipe it out, get rid of some of the excess oil and any little bits of kernels that are still in there. And now, one step that I'm adding that is not in the recipe in the book is I'm gonna brown the butter. And this is obviously a step I do a lot. It's just a way of adding a little bit of extra caramel flavor to the recipe. So I added my 1 stick of butter. I'm gonna turn it back on the heat over a medium high. So with brown butter, the idea is that butter consists of butter fat, that yellow liquid when it's hot. That doesn't really make sense. Oh, I gotta turn it down. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Ah! Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Jeez. So, with brown butter, it does sputter. Keep an eye on it. Don't put it over a heat that's too high. That was crazy. I somehow came out unscathed. The point of brown butter is that you cook it, you boil off all the water, the milk solids that are in there start to toast, the temperature climbs, and they get golden brown and delicious, and it tastes like caramel. So it's just kind of going to increase the caramel flavor in my popcorn. And you want to stir continuously because the milk solids can stick to the bottom and start to burn, and you don't want them to stick. You want them to be free floating so that they incorporate into whatever it is you're making. So you know that your butter is close when it stops sputtering and the liquid looks very, very yellow, almost kind of fluorescent, and then you'll start to see little golden brown specks. Once I see that my butter is browned, I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm just gonna kill the heat underneath, and I'm gonna add my sugar, my corn syrup, and my cream of tartar. And the cream of tartar is there to prevent crystallization and ditto the corn syrup. And now I have a cup of water, and when I add the water, I like to pour it around the sides, and that just is going to kind of guarantee that none of the sugar crystals get stuck on the side of the pot and can, possibly set off a kind of chain reaction of crystallization. But the corn syrup content and the cream of tartar are going to really help to prevent that from happening. So now that we have all the ingredients for the caramel added, I'm going to turn my heat back on, and I'm going to get it over medium high again. And here you want to stir just until the sugar dissolves. So I'm just using this heat-proof spatula. And it's a gentle stirring. You just really don't want to agitate it so much that you get sugar crystals up around the sides of the pot. One thing that's nice about the brown butter step is that it's essentially greasing the pot, which helps, again, to decrease the chances of sugar crystals getting stuck and then kind of setting off this chain reaction of crystallization. So I'm going to bring this to a boil. So I want to cook this until I get a medium caramel. I don't want to cook it really dark. If you've seen me make caramel for other recipes, like creme caramel, for example, I cook a really, really dark caramel, but that's because this is going to continue to take on color in the next step, which is baking it in the oven, like I mentioned. So I should tell you that my oven is on 250, and make sure you have enough room in your oven to fit the pot, because we're gonna continue to cook everything in here. So you can occasionally stir. You don't want to stir it too much, which again can encourage crystallization. But just give it sort of an occasional, and you can also swirl the pot like this. So I'm gonna cook this until, I like to compare it to the color of like honey, like the honey that comes in the honey bear, kind of medium golden brown. So I add baking soda, which has a reaction with the caramel, which is a little bit acidic. And also we added that cream of tartar, so there's that acid to react. And what it does is it aerates it, and it makes it so that when you crunch down the caramel coating, even if it's thick, it's like, it just makes it very, very crunchy. And crunchy is a combination of like brittle but airy, if that makes sense. So it just helps to create a coating that's like really light and like very, very crunchy, especially when it's dried out. I know that it's close because rather than getting rapid boiling water kind of bubbles, I'm getting big, slow moving, glossy bubbles, which tells me that a lot of the water is evaporated. And so it's gonna start taking on color soon.
Do you think that looks creepy at all?
Yeah. Like kind of like something like alien, like it's some kind of like primordial goo. So now that the caramel is this kind of medium honey colored golden brown, I'm gonna add my popcorn and my peanuts, and I'm gonna turn off the heat. And the key here is just to toss everything really, really well so the caramel's coated. And you wanna get the caramel off the bottom so it's not pooling. And don't worry if you feel like there's still some kernels that are bare, because we're gonna continue to stir it as we bake. And so everything will get really, really evenly coated. And then it's gonna go into the oven. The whole mixture bakes for about 30 minutes, and you just wanna be sure to stir it every 10. And that's gonna help get any caramel that pools on the bottom, like up and coating all the kernels and everything. Oh, I did that last night too. It was totally fine. So this looks really nice. You can see that the caramel is pretty evenly coating the popcorn and the peanuts. It's a little bit blonde, but again, that's intentional because it's gonna continue to darken a little bit in the oven. What I really like seeing is like tons of little specks on the popcorn, and that's all those little bits of brown butter. So this is off the heat. And the most important thing is that you just don't have any caramel that's like pooling in the bottom. And now we're gonna put this into the oven. Things are gonna get even more evenly coated because we're gonna keep stirring every 10 minutes or so. I did forget to stir the kosher salt and the baking soda through the caramel before I added the popcorn, but you know what? I forgot last night also, and I just added it in all at once and it worked out fine. Plus we're gonna continue to stir, so it's gonna get incorporated. One very important point is it's so easy to forget that a pot is hot, so keep a towel on the handle. So this just came out, this was 10 minutes in the oven, and I'm just stirring it. So what happens is the caramel stays soft because it stays hot, and so it does have a tendency to settle on the bottom. So when you stir, you want to just make sure you pick up all that caramel off the bottom of the pot and you get it stuck to the kernels. Hi. Are you in your dinosaur outfit? Oh no, oh, it's a crocodile. I see, I see.
But it does have dinosaur legs.
The pants are dinosaur, yeah. This is gonna go back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Again, we're looking at probably about 30 total. Okay, so on the second stir, after 20 minutes in the oven, I gave it a nice sprinkle of flaky salt and stirred that in. And now it's been in for a little over a half an hour. I did turn up the oven to 325 for the last 10 minutes, just because it wasn't getting that dark and I wanted it to have like a very toasty caramel flavor. It's smelling like very toasty in here. So I'm gonna grab it, and then we're going to form it into popcorn balls. Again, you can just get it out onto a sheet tray and let it cool and enjoy caramel popcorn, and it makes like nice little clusters. But for popcorn balls, I'm gonna grab a pair of gloves. I have a little oil just for greasing the gloves, and we're gonna form them. And I have a sheet tray right here. One thing is, it's really hot, so don't burn yourself. So I'm gonna give it a final stir to incorporate any caramel on the bottom. You can see it's this really beautiful dark golden brown color. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit. I can't just like reach in and grab like, 300-degree sugar. I'm gonna get my gloves on. And the work time is not super long, so to get it at a working temp where you're not gonna burn yourself, it has to cool down, and then between that temperature and the temperature at which it's not going to stick together anymore, like you don't have a ton of time. So what I like to do is grabbing kind of like a fistful and getting it on the work surface and just starting to kind of form it into, like we're doing this kind of a few portions at a time. Like get it in a cluster. And then that way you're not left with like a lot of loose popcorn at the bottom of the pot that's cool to the point where you can't get it to hold together. This first one, this is now at the temperature where I can handle it pretty easily. It's not too hot. And the gloves do add like a little bit of a layer of heat protection. And it's just kind of a free-form thing. There you go. Just try not to get sugar burns on your hands. Ow, ow, hot. So it's funny, initially I was like, oh, what a fun thing to do with children. It's like you should do no part of this recipe with kids. There's really nothing about it that feels particularly kid-friendly or safe. I'm gonna work pretty quickly. I'm gonna repeat that process and just get the entire mixture formed into these fun little clusters, and then they cool off pretty quick and set, and then we're gonna taste. Definitely making them into popcorn balls is like an extra step, but they're really cute, and it is a Halloween thing, and it's kind of like a really wonderful, like shareable thing. But again, just like a bag of like loose caramel popcorn is so delicious, such a good gift. It's up to you what you want to do. So now we're gonna taste. They harden really fast, so they're like super crunchy. I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna taste this guy.
Is that your tooth?
Is that my tooth? That would be the perfect end of this video. It is so insanely edible. You could eat so much of this before your brain caught up to your stomach and was like, I feel sick. That's how you know it's good. It's so crunchy. I love the peanut clusters. It really does give you that kind of Cracker Jack flavor. Plus you get the saltiness. I love like a salty sweet, really anything. Come on. Also, it's so buttery. Store these definitely airtight because that caramel is going to want to pull moisture out of the air and start to soften. You don't want that to happen, but how long are these really gonna last? I truly can't think of something more snackable than caramel corn. Because it's like air, but also candy. And you get that toasty like popcorn flavor. So really fun recipe. It does feel particularly kind of appropriate for fall. I guess popcorn balls are a Halloween thing. I don't really know, you tell me. I think you should try it out. It's perfect any time of the year, but I don't know. It just kind of gives you like a cozy feeling for fall. So happy Halloween. Tell us what you're dressing up as in the comments.
What are you gonna dress up as?
Nothing. If you're new here, we hope you enjoyed this video. Click the subscribe button. Check out more fall content. Look, fall is kind of the best time of year. We have a lot of great fall recipes coming, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.